The following episode contains content that some listeners may find disturbing. Listener discretion is advised. Hi, I'm Zoe,
And I'm Kaz,
and this is Tea, Crumpets and Horror.
a very British podcast. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. You're excited?
I'm not excited, I'm tired.
Oh,
But I'm looking forward to the 3 bottles of Prosecco that work have sent me, which I can drink at the end of the week.
but you still have to wait till the end of the week. I'm sorry about that. Are you drinking them all by yourself?
No, I was gonna
Or
offer
like,
them
I'm
to
just
you as
imagining
well.
you coming into your room and you just being like a proper wino on the floor,
Like passed out with bottles of Prosecco all
everywhere,
around me.
like your tights ripped and
These
one
are
shoe
wear
hanging off.
tights.
I don't know, it just makes the image. Your hair's got like a bird in it or something somehow.
And all of this while never leaving my bedroom.
I know. I haven't heard from you in a couple of hours, and I'm like, I think she's dead.
The giggling stopped at some point.
It's like,
Yeah.
So this is the second episode of Tea, Crumpets and Horror.
If you are returning, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for sticking with us.
Yeah, we hope it's only better. It gets better from here.
We hope it's only better. This first one was terrible.
I noticed that I was a little bit quiet in the first one. We are still kind of getting used to the sort of like how the sounding works, because neither of us are sound engineers.
Even though I took a media studies degree.
And I took a BTEC in
Yeah.
music.
So we should really know how to use soundboards and
Yeah.
recording stuff, and we
Yeah.
don't.
In my defence, this was back in like the dark ages.
I still actually remember how to do a lot of it. If I get a quick reminder, I had to do a video. I had to edit a video and put music over the top of it when I was at uni.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then I got really annoyed because there was like a tiny blip in the song, and I couldn't zoom in close enough to cut the blip out,
Oh,
and
no.
I was the only person that could hear it. And everyone was like, "There's no blip," and I'm like, "Eh."
It's like me with spots then, like where I'm like, there's a spot there, and you're like, there's no spot there, Zoe.
Yeah, that's
And I'm
just
like, fucking is.
that's just gross. That's so not the same thing. I'm hearing things. My biology.
So yeah, hope you guys have all had a good week. Or
So far.
yeah, I mean,
depending
if
what
you're
day it
listening
is.
to this one straight after the other one, I hope you had a good like couple of seconds in between.
While the music played out and then played back
in
in.
again.
And you were like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, and then you're like, oh no, the next one started. I suppose I better listen to it now, just out of politeness, because you know that's how we roll in the UK.
Yeah, we are exceedingly polite.
Unnecessarily.
Unnecessarily polite. I do feel that is quite damaging sometimes. I do feel like there's too much nicety in the workplace and it's not enough of just do your fucking job. Although I do feel like maybe someone would do that to me, be like, do your fucking job. I hope I do my job. I suppose I do. I get paid.
Yeah.
Could you imagine? They're like, you're not actually doing your job, so we're not going to pay you. Shit.
What have I been doing for the last 3 years?
What is this job then? Yeah, you don't work here. We don't even know who you are. You don't work for the NHS.
So what have you? So it's your turn today.
It is my turn today.
I'm quite excited about this actually.
Are you?
Yeah, because I don't get to do too much talking.
You were like, oh, I've been talking for an hour.
I had such a dry throat afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when it starts feeling catchy and you start
Yeah,
coughing.
Oh no.
But the thing is that, you know, at the moment in the situation we're in, if you cough, then everybody automatically thinks you're going to die.
Yeah, someone was saying they've got like a wet cough at the moment and everybody keeps looking at them and I'm like, oh, hell.
Yeah, I've noticed how it's gone from initially being like a dry cough.
Yeah, it's just
to
any cough now.
To any cough. And it's like, well, you're making it harder for people to work out if they just have a generic cold or COVID-19.
Just making people paranoid, and that's
Yeah.
not necessary. I just came back from my flu jab. My arm hasn't fallen off, so roll on the vaccine. If
They
it
started today though, didn't
Yes, they did. but they don't have like loads. So the people who got jabbed today, their vaccine will not be effective until the 5th of January. So all these people getting excited, please calm down, because they don't have a lot. Like between I don't know how many hospitals in the UK, they're only getting like 100 doses each to give out until they get the next lot, and they've got to give 2 lots. So you get one, then 19 days later you have to have another one, and then that doesn't start until you've got to give a 28-day incubation period. So you've still got a whole month basically to wait till it is effective. So I shall wait and see. We were discussing today also how like it's interesting that everybody who's got a bad immune system like me, I was saying that I haven't had a cold or the flu or anything since the lockdown began because I haven't been near anybody. And the times I have been out, I've been wearing a mask, which is great. So we were just all very much like, oh, isn't it interesting how you don't get sick when you get face coverings? So maybe Japan and China had this right all along.
Yeah, but they weren't wearing theirs because of sickness, though, were they? Not initially, anyway. They wear theirs because of the high pollution levels.
Yeah, but a lot of it is to do if you're ill, you wear the face mask to stop spreading it to other people.
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe we should adopt that from going forward. You know, if you've got a cold, go to your office and you want to go in, wear a face mask. It's not an issue. I don't see why people are like, I can't breathe. You can breathe. Okay?
Yeah, it just takes a little bit of getting used to.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
So shall I start?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't got anything else to sort of
say.
Yeah, so where are we on the spectrum today? Tea, crumpets, or horror?
I'm going to say, I don't really know. It is horrible. So I'm going to go with horror, but not like gruesome horror. This is just, this person is an asshole. So this story is one of these ones that I'm really weirdly fascinated with because it was the first story our mum ever told us about that was about true crime. And it's, the more you read into it, because like mum gave me the very brief overview. It was like, this man did this and he's a bastard. I think exactly were her words. So this is more in depth and I found it like insanely interesting. So this is the story of Donald Neilsen, aka the Black Panther. Not to be confused with the civil rights movement, and definitely not to be confused with the Marvel's movie with the late Chadwick Boseman in it.
Wakanda Forever.
Yeah, may he rest in peace. So yeah, okay, so Donald Neilsen was born on August 1st, 1936 as Donald Nappy, and that's spelled like Nappey. So like nappy, basically.
Yeah.
His mother died when he was 10 from breast cancer, and he had a really unhappy childhood. He started, they said shop breaking, which I assume is just breaking into shops, or I don't know. And in 1948, aged 11, he was caught. But before that, he had no other criminal history until he started doing what he did. He was bullied, obviously, for his surname at school, and he also was signed up to the National Service because that was still going when he was a young adult, and he was also bullied there for his name during that time. He really enjoyed his time in the National Service, and he was in the King's Own Yorkshire Light Infantry. I just love this because we have a royal family in this country, these countries. I just love it. Everything's like the Royal Institution of such and such, or the Royal this or that and the other. I really do enjoy that for some bizarre reason. I just think it's great. Like, you go to any other countries and they're like, this is the Institute of such and such. Like, oh, you poor
so what
bastards.
Did this infantry do then? Was it just sort of...
They didn't really say. They don't exist anymore.
Oh, okay.
Not because he was in it. They were like, shit, now we got to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But they don't exist anymore. They only existed for a very short period of time.
Okay.
So in 1955, aged either 18 or 19, he married 20-year-old Irene, and she convinced him to leave the military and settle down, which I find highly disappointing because clearly he really enjoyed his time there and what he was doing. And maybe if he hadn't have left the infantry, none of this would have happened. But in 1960, they had a daughter, And this is when he changed his name to Neilsen. And there are various stories about how he chose this name. One of them is that he bought a taxi business and he kept the name. And another one is it's the name of the ice cream van where he and Irene got ice cream for their daughter. So yeah, it's no one's really sure. So during his reign of terror, I suppose, Neilsen is believed to have committed over 400 house burglaries, starting in about 1965 after his carpentry and building business and taxi firm hit hard times. So he never really got like a set job. He's not like an accountant or something after he left the army. He's just sort of doing odd jobs and having random businesses and trying to be entrepreneurial. So during his time as a burglar, he developed a technique using a brace, which is one of those, it's a brace and bit. It's one of those tools that's kind of like you put your hand in the middle and then you wind the top.
Oh, okay.
And it spins the, what do you put your hand in the middle and then you wind the middle? Something like that. And basically what he would do was he'd drill a hole in a window frame and then use the screwdriver or a coat hanger to like open the catch. Because obviously people didn't have door locks back then, not the way we do now. And nobody used to lock anything. So... And because of this, he earned the name the Brace and Bit Robber. He has a lot of names, can I just point out. He was also known as the Phantom, and he was also known as Handy Andy, which is the dumbest name.
Wasn't Handy Andy the name of that guy that, the handy guy on... Are
you thinking of Andy Pandy from Sooty and Sweet?
No. So, God, when was it? It was like back in I think in like the late 90s, early noughties, there was a TV show where basically neighbours would decorate each other's house.
Oh, maybe it was.
And I'm pretty sure the guy on that was called Handy Andy.
That's a terrible... Oh, no. Don't have rhyming names. They're not my favourite thing.
No.
Like, it's up there with calling your son, like, David Davidson. It's like, how much do you hate this child? Like, my name is Philip. Okay, right, why?
It's like, did your parents just get bored naming you or something?
I was like, Tasha's family, her dad called her the wrong thing. So she was supposed to be called Nikita, and now she's Natasha instead. Because I got the name wrong, sorry. And it's too late to change it, so...
I don't know, Natasha's quite a nice name.
Natasha's a very nice name.
Nikita seems a bit more...
They wanted a Russian name.
But they're Irish.
I know. Well, he's Irish. Her mum's half Scottish. I don't know.
That makes even less sense.
It definitely makes less sense.
At least you didn't end up with a middle name that was a man's name.
Oh.
Like what grandmother did.
Oh, well, that's not... I like that, though. I like it how...
I don't know. So if we've got any Scottish listeners, can you explain to us if this is a thing or if it's just that our family on our dad's side is really fucking weird?
A bit bonkers.
But basically, our grandmother and her sisters all had men names as their middle names. So, for example, our nan was called Agnes Edward. And I think she had a brother, and I think he had a girl's name, but I can never remember.
Oh, I don't know.
But then again, we didn't really know much about them. So yeah, if someone could
clarify that would be amazing.
I mean, if we are weird, it's fine. We're not shocked. We already knew this, but it just might add to the weirdness.
Yeah. Okay, so to confuse police, he would change his MO when something was being recognised as a pattern. So like, if he was breaking into certain houses in a certain neighbourhood at a certain time, he'd suddenly go to a completely different area or whatever. But however, his burglary was much like everything else that's happened in his life so far, however, not very successful. However, when robbing a house in Cheshire, he stole a bunch of guns and ammunition, which allowed him to up his criminal activities. And it turned into robbing he turned to robbing small post offices. So sub-post offices are run by the sub-post office master. These are great. I learned so much about post offices. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, so a lot of the post offices that we see, they're not real
post offices, but they're not classed as sub-post offices either. So the sub-post office is run by the post office master or mistress as a private agent to the post office. So the post office employs them to have a post office wherever it is. It's like like the little village post office shop, like that. And he committed 18 of these crimes between 1971 and 1974, during which he killed 3 sub-postmasters.
That's not very nice of him.
No, and 18 in 3 years is quite a lot. Like, if you think between 1965 and say 1971, he'd potentially committed 400 house burglaries. He's a pretty busy man. How do you get away with that much in that short a time?
And why is your wife not mentioning anything?
Oh, there's a reason for this.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so in February of 1972, he broke into a sub-post office, which was located in a private home in Hayward in Lancashire. He woke up the sub-postmaster, Lesley Richardson, and his wife. During the ongoing struggle, the sawn-off shotgun went off and shot a hole in the ceiling. Richardson was able to pull off the hood Neilsen was wearing. Neilsen fled, but Richardson was able to give a description for a photo fit. This was the first of 6 photo fits, none of which looked anything like Neilsen.
Oh.
Not a single one looked anything like him this whole time. Richardson reported that Neilsen spoke to him in a West Indian accent.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, Neilsen is very much a Caucasian male, and I believe he probably was from like the Midlands. I haven't written down where he was born, but he definitely didn't speak with a West Indian accent. So unless he was putting on a really weird voice.
Also, how did he know that it was a West Indian accent?
Yeah, that's a bit like saying...
That's a bit specific.
Yeah, it's like a bit like... Well, it's not even that specific. It's like, oh, he's from America. He's got an American accent. Where in America?
Well, no, because if he'd said, oh, he's from South America.
Yeah.
Because I think this is often the thing that always kind of perplexes me, is that when people say, oh, he's got an American accent or he had a British accent, especially when they portray them in shows, they're all for example, if Americans are portrayed in our shows and British people are portrayed in American shows, they always have the same accent.
Yeah.
They never vary. But the thing is, right, we all have different accents.
Yeah, but British accents that Americans tend to put on their show is that fake TV accent.
Yeah.
That fake newsreader accent that isn't a real accent. Nobody speaks like that in the UK.
Yeah, is it what was it called? The Pacific Northwest accent or
the
something?
Pacific Northwest accent is apparently not a real thing.
Yeah. But I just find that it's bizarre to me, because I'm pretty sure if you were to go to India, people from the western provinces of India probably do very much sound different to the people from, say, the northeast of India.
But then you're talking within the western provinces of India, where exactly you say he's from. He's it's very they all sound the same to me. It
just seems a bit surprising to me that this guy seems to know what a person from West India sounds like in comparison to, say, somebody from South India.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, you've got a good point. In February of 1974, he broke into a sub-post office in Harrogate, North Yorkshire. After tying up the postmaster's 18-year-old son, he shot and killed Donald Skipper, the postmaster. And in September of 1974, he shot and killed postmaster Derek Aston in the Higher Baxtondale, Accrington post office in Lancashire. Yeah, I started listening. I was like, these places are within places are within places, because everything's like that. During this altercation, Neilsen fell down the stairs and was able to recover and escape. Is this a terrible burger? I just fell down the stairs.
He does seem like it, but what's more funny? I know, obviously, this is not really what this guy looks like, but because David Tennant played him.
No, that's Donald Neilsen.
Donald Neilsen. Why did I think it was...
Not Donald, Dennis. This is Donald.
Oh my God, there's so many of them. Right, people that have the surname Neilsen...
Could you stop committing crimes?
Could you just chill for a minute? Because I can't keep up.
Stop committing crimes on your downtime and getting infamous.
Okay, well, I'm still going to imagine that it's David Tennant.
David Tennant fell down the stairs.
Doing these crimes.
Doing some crimes. Yeah, so in November of 1974, Neilsen attacked and killed Sidney Grayland at his sub-post office in Langley, West Midlands. Neilsen had bought a bottle of ammonia with him with the intentions of spraying whoever answered the door, but...
Nobody did?
Nope.
He sprayed himself.
He sprayed himself.
Oh my God. How?
Because he's the world's shittest burglar. He's getting away with all this, but also a bit shit.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. So this caused him to rip off his mask just as Mrs. Grayland entered, and Neilsen attacked her, fracturing her skull and shooting Sydney.
Oh.
Yeah, he's an asshole. He got away with about £800 in postal orders, which, please don't ask me what the inflation of that is, because
No,
I wouldn't know how to find that out. Another photo fit was made from Mrs. Grayland's description, but again, looked nothing like him. So people had no idea who he was. At all three murders, police found bullets that were identical, as well as descriptions of clothing. They knew they had one person committing the crimes, but the photo fits were too dissimilar for them to narrow down a suspect pool. So he gained the name the Black Panther from the wife of a victim who told police he was dressed in black and moved quickly like a panther, which I kind of wanted it to be more interesting than that. It's like being like, he's the blue gazelle. Something. Please, can someone commit a series of burglaries dressed in blue and prance like a gazelle?
Please don't.
Yeah, don't. If you do, we won't cover you. Now, we have to travel back in time a little bit to 1972. So in 1972, Neilsen decided to step up his criminal activities to gain the big payout. And in order to do this, he had a little plan. And that plan was to target 17-year-old heiress Lesley Whittle, and he found out about her after reading an article about her in the Daily Express. So Lesley Whittle was born in 1957 and was the daughter of Dorothy and George Whittle. I couldn't figure out if they were married because Dorothy Whittle was not George's first wife, she was his second. If they were married or not, it never really says. Whittle was the co-owner of Whittle Coaches, and in 1970 he died. So to avoid estate taxes, he split his wealth up between his wife, girlfriend, partner, Dorothy, and his children, Ronald and Leslie. Whittle left nothing in his will to his estranged wife, Selina Whittle. And in 1972, she started legal proceedings to obtain the money from her late husband's estate, and this was picked up by the Daily Express in this article that Neilsen saw. So Neilsen planned this kidnapping between 1972 and 1975, which took him about 3 years, because the man is dumb and falling downstairs and slow, as all else. Really, you're the look on your face just then. Oh, we got a stupid one here. 3 years.
Considering how this turns out, I don't know why he wasted his time.
Wait, this is great. It's not. It's horrible. The plan was to kidnap either Dorothy or Ronald and hold them for a ransom of £50,000, which he estimated that the family could easily afford. However, that's not what happened. So on January 14th in 1975, Dorothy Whittle, I'm calling her Dorothy Whittle, I don't know if that's her surname, returned to her home in Highley, Shropshire at about 1:30 a.m. She checked on her daughter and found her sleeping, so Dorothy took 2 sleeping tablets and went to bed herself. She didn't wake up until 7 a.m. the next day, when she went to make breakfast for her daughter. When Leslie failed to come downstairs for breakfast, Dorothy went upstairs to check on her, only to find she was not in her bed and her clothes for the day were still neatly folded on the chair by her bed. I've written bed too many times, it's going to make me angry. A ransom note was punched out on 6-foot strip of dynamo tape, which is that label tape you get. 6 foot of dynamo tape. You look so unimpressed. You're like, Donald, mate.
I can't get that stuff for love nor money when I need to package something. Now I know why.
It's Donald's got it all.
Donald.
So I will read you what the ransom note says in a minute. Dorothy attempted to call Leslie's brother Ronald, but the phone was dead, so he'd cut the line before he'd come in. And when she went out to get in the car to go get help, she found that the door from the lounge to the garage was open. Now, this door is very rarely used and usually locked. So Dorothy then left to go get Ronald, and upon their return, they found a second copy, this is also why you can't find any dynamo tape, of the ransom note in a Turkish Delight box. Yeah. So this is what the ransom notes said. No police. £50,000 ransom to be ready to deliver. Wait for telephone call at Swan Shopping Centre telephone box 6 p.m. to 1 p.m. If no, I assume that means 1 a.m. I don't know. If no call, return following evening. When you answer, give name only and then listen. You must follow this instructions without argument. From time you answer, you are on a time limit. If police do tricks, death. So Swan Shopping Centre is in Kidderminster. deliver 50,000 in white van, 50,000 pounds in old notes, 25,000 in £1 notes. Yeah, back in the days when we had £1 notes still, could you imagine? And 25,000 in £5 note. There will be no exchange. Only after 50,000 has been cleared will victim be released. So on the night in question, Neilsen broke into the house after cutting the telephone line, thinking it was a burglar alarm. So it's kind of smart, but in that the kind of roundabout way where he's actually a bit dumb.
Stupid smart.
He is stupid smart, but not like you're intelligent. More like,
oh God, no.
Yeah, not like smart stupid smart. And he encountered Lesley by mistake and decided to kidnap her instead of the mother. So he gagged her and took her out to a green Morris, I think it's like 1001 car, where she was bound and made to lay down in the back seat. So Neilsen then drove to Bathpool Park in Kidsgrove, which is in Staffordshire, where he forced her down a drainage shaft. Inside the drainage shaft, Lesley was stripped naked, a hood placed over her head, and then she was tethered to the side of the shaft by a wire noose.
How old is Lesley, by the way?
She is 17.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so...
Yeah, and he's disgusting. So what has been followed after this has been described as a series of disastrous misunderstandings and errors that sealed Lesley Whittle's fate.
I mean, I've already picked up on a couple of issues here, so...
Oh, you have no idea. This gets so much worse. Like, you want to talk about incompetency, you're about to see incompetency, and this is not even on Neilsen's half. The police in this are fucking useless. And I get that she's a pretty, white, blonde girl, rich as well. You'd think they'd be all over this, which they were, but they were just very bumbling. So, going back to the home, Ronald called the police, and it was agreed that the ransom would be paid because they could afford it. The investigation was led by Detective Chief Superintendent Robert Booth of the West Mercia Police, who with assistance from Scotland Yard sent a team led by Commander John Morrison and including DCI Walter Boardham to work on this case. However, the story was leaked to the press very quickly after a freelance reporter got wind of what happened and passed the story to a local radio station who broadcast the story regardless of the danger that this put Lesley in.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it does sound about right. No offence to journalists, but don't do that.
But you also then wonder why you get like portrayed as the bad guy.
Yeah. And this will probably be why something like this.
Just makes me think about, how a lot of things where we condemn people for the actions of a few.
Yeah, but if this happens to you, don't do it. Just don't. That's the general gist of it. So during this time, from what I can tell, Ronald was waiting at the phone box in the shopping centre for the ransom call. And so because of the leaked information, police ended up pulling him from the phone booth. So they didn't spook the kidnapper, which was dumb because the kidnapper wanted to call them. But whatever. So because of that, no one was there when the phone rang that night at midnight. So nobody picked up that call and, this could have been solved a bit faster, but wasn't. So on January 15th, Ronald was sent to a fake rendezvous due to a hoax call. Again, don't do that. Don't do that. And on the same night, Neilsen shot a security guard called Gerald Smith whilst attempting to raid a security drop-off. So he's still out doing crimes on his downtimes, and his uptimes probably, and she's just in a shaft somewhere. Great. But in his hurry to escape, Neilsen abandoned the stolen car, which was that green Morris 1100 or 1300, different places say different things. He left it a few feet from Smith's body. However, the car wasn't found till 8 days later and had a number of items, including a sleeping bag, more Dymo tape, which is why you still can't find it, torches, a voice recording and a voice recording of Lesley Whittle. So on January 16th at 11:45 p.m, Neilsen played a voice recording of Lesley telling her family that it was okay and that someone needed to go to the phone booth to get a second message, which was behind the blackboard in the phone booth. This is one of these people, I think he thought he was being clever.
Yeah.
And part of him thinking he was being clever actually led to a lot of fuck ups, and in this as well.
Yeah.
So not only is he incompetent, the police are incompetent, people are leaking stuff. People are calling in fake hoax calls and generally just bad times. Bad news bears, really. So it was agreed that Ronald would do the drop under police surveillance. Again, don't do that. And he was briefed by Detective Chief and Superintendent Lovejoy at Northbridge Police Station and left there at about 1:30 a.m. on January 17th with a suitcase containing the £50,000. He drove to Kids Grove but got lost because he didn't know the area and arrived late at the Kids Grove post office phones box. He's obsessed with post offices.
Also, why choose a post office that you don't know where is? I mean...
No. Ronald didn't know where the post office was.
Oh, okay, sorry. I thought you meant Donald.
Donald and Ronald, not best
very
friends.
Confused by all the names.
Yeah.
Okay, so, yeah, okay. And I mean, this is not in the day of, Google Maps and...
No, this is your old AA map. So, where was I? Okay, he found another Dymo tape message directing him to Bathpool Park, which was about 1.5 miles away. The message read, go to the top lane and turn into no entry. Go to the wall and flashlights. Look for torchlight, run to torch, further instructions on torch. So I think basically this was like, drive to this place, flash your lights to say you're there, and then on this wall there'll be a torch, and the torch will have more instructions on it. Which, again... kind of clever, but kind of really not.
Well, the other thing is he said to flash the lights, yeah, and then he'll see a torchlight. So is he going to be there to turn the flashlight on so he knows that?
No. He's not going to be there to turn the flashlight on. The flashlights. So he's going to park by this wall, flash, then the torch will be on the wall, but the torch will be turned off.
Okay.
So I assume he's there because he's going to see like the flashing lights of the car, but I don't know. It's not 100% clear. Our mate Ronald, not Donald, Ronald, drove the given destination, but he missed the low wall that edged the railway bridge and drove to the end of the lane. So when he flashed his lights, there was nothing there. So he left and police searched the area and found no other clues.
So where was the torch?
I'm about to explain that. So about a week later, following that, West Midlands Police contacted West Mercia. So he'd obviously gone from one police jurisdiction to another, about the abandoned car close to where Gerald Smith had been shot. So this is a very good point for please talk to other police stations if you have this stuff that you think might be related to a certain case. Just talk to each other. I know it appears not to be very common in the US. We appear, I don't know how accurate that is, to not have that over here. So Smith was in hospital recovering from the 6 gunshots.
Oh, I thought he died.
No, he is. We'll see.
You're not telling the story.
I can't remember. I read this a very long time ago, okay? So he had been shot 6 times in the back. Yeah, 6.
In the back?
In the back.
It's just cowardly.
It's cowardly, and after one time of shooting someone in the back, why would you need to follow it up by another 2? Another 5. Sorry. Things I can't do. Maths and read. So apart from the items they found, fingerprints, bullets, which match those from the Black Panther case, the robberies, and the police finally made the connection between the shootings and the robberies and Lesley's kidnapping and ransom. I've just written on February of 1975. Some date in February 1975. They had a media blackout. Well, before this, they'd had a media blackout, and this was lifted. And either on March 2nd or March 5th, I couldn't figure this out. There was different dates for different sources. Ronald and Chief Superintendent Booth staged an interview in which Ronald discussed his trip to Bathpool Park, and Booth pretended he knew nothing about this, so that they could search the whole area without letting on to the fact that they knew about the ransom job. And I watched this, and it is the worst acting I've ever seen. Like, how anyone would fall for that. You can if you Google it, I don't know if it's in YouTube, but it's on somewhere like Daily Motion or something, and I watched it, and it is fantastic. It's so bad. You know, when something's just so corny, you're like, this is awful. It is like the reporter will be like, so you did you know that Ronald had went to this ransom job? And the guy would be like, no, really? Well, I've never heard anything about this. And it's like, mate, you're not fooling anybody. Your acting's terrible. He's that sort of 70s-esque acting that's not quite there yet. You're not winning any Shakespearean awards. I'm a Shakespearean actor, damn it. This man was not a Shakespearean actor at all. The day after, a local headmaster, so the day after this interview aired, the local headmaster contacted police. A pupil had brought him a piece of Dymo tape that read, "Drop the suitcase into the hole." Other pupils found a torch wedged into the grills of what was locally known as the glory hole.
It's beautiful.
So, yeah, guys, don't call things the glory hole.
No, I just keep it. You've got rid of it. Bring it back.
Bring back naming things the glory hole.
Bring back the glory hole.
Ew. And these had been handed in several weeks before, but no one actually realised the importance of them until the interview was broadcast. So police had these in their possession. Oh no, I don't know. I think the headmaster had them in his possession.
So this guy had left them where he said he'd left them.
Yeah.
And then someone's come along a short time later and picked them up.
Yeah. And given them to this headmaster. The headmaster's just thought nothing of it and just shoved it in a
You wouldn't,
drawer.
would you?
And then seen this interview and been like, crap, that's behind my school. Maybe these are related to it. So
No, that's just bad luck.
that is just bad luck for a lot of people. Okay, so on March 6th, police undertook a second search of Bathpool Park, starting at the glory hole. It was here that police found a Dymo tape machine and a roll of Dymo tape. Again, Zoe, this is why you can't find any Dymo tape.
Wait, is that the stuff that you print stuff on?
Yeah, you know that little like strip? It's like about a centimetre wide and it's got like blocky letters on it. And it looks like right fun. And it is right fun. Why?
Because I just thought it was packing tape.
No, he hasn't stolen a bunch of packing tape and written on
That makes so much more sense now.
The idea of him having just rolls and rolls of black, like that shiny brown stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but all the pen would have wiped off.
I didn't think about that bit, but
Is he like cutting out
just
little?
like, now I can just see it. He's just like got the girl, and he's like, "Stay there," and he's just like.
I think he might have written this before. No, it was even worse because they didn't have like the typey ones. You have to do like the click, click.
Oh
click,
my god,
click.
no!
So he was really dedicated. This is why it took him 3 years, because he was just writing out that
I just
ransom
took
note.
one ransom note.
That whole ransom, just 2 ransom notes. Took 3 years.
Perhaps if he'd spent a little less time on the ransom note and a little bit more time on the plan.
I feel like he would have gotten a better if he'd have just like cut out some letters from a newspaper and stuck them on a bit of A4 and taken it down the shop and photocopied it. He'd have had more success.
I mean, did they have photocopies back then?
Yes, sorry, I'm pretty sure they had photocopiers back then. I don't know how readily available they were. It's not like he could wander into his office and photocopy something.
Just imagining this strip on the floor. And,
Yeah, it was like one of those, like, that's why I wondered why you didn't react the way I thought you were going to react. So yeah,
that's on me, sorry.
Yeah. So in the second shaft, nothing turned up. In the third shaft, which was the deepest of 3, and used to be an air vent shaft for Neilsen's coal mine, this was uncapped. And unfortunately, shaft 3 was subject to HM Inspectorate of Mines regulations, so it had to be cleared for gas before it could be searched. So they had to clear it for a whole day, and nothing happened. They couldn't go in there. So on March 7th, after the shaft had been cleared, police were able to search. So on the first landing, which was at the bottom of a 22-foot ladder, was a police torch, which had been dropped the day before. Excellent work, guys. Some guy's like, "Oh, drop my torch."
Look, I found my torch. No, that's just Steve's. He dropped it down there yesterday.
PC Reginald.
Stephen.
He's stolen someone else's torch to cover his own arse.
Yeah.
Like, on the second landing, which was a further 45 feet down, was a cassette tape recorder.
That wasn't the police's, I'm guessing.
No. Close, but no. No.
I
Imagine if they'd like just kept
detective now, because I can figure this shit
Can you
out.
imagine if they just kept dropping shit down there?
Oh, never mind. I didn't need that sandwich.
They're like on the second floor. Goes my voice recorder. Get to the second one. There goes my pen.
Oh, there goes the PC. Is he all right?
He's got a broken leg.
Let's move on.
Has anyone seen PC Stewart? Nope.
Nope.
Don't look down that. Don't look down that shaft. Sorry. On the third landing, police found a rolled-up sleeping bag, a yellow foam mattress, a survival blanket, and hanging from a steel wire, only 7 inches from the bottom of the shaft, was Lesley Whittle's body.
Great.
Yeah, and that's the bit that really fucked me up. Like, I was like, this is all right, this is okay, I know she's not going to make it. 7 inches from the bottom.
So...
Naked, mind you, in the dark, and alone.
Right, okay, so I've got a couple of questions. Okay, so obviously, yeah, she's going to be scared.
Mm-hmm.
And in all fairness, I'm kind of surprised that she perhaps didn't die from hypothermia first.
Oh, this is the way this happens. Yeah, and I'll explain it in a minute.
Okay, so who was the bed for?
Him.
So he never went back?
No, it doesn't sound like he did. So,
Okay.
It is believed that she died within 48 hours of her abduction, but the pathologist reported that she was emaciated and her stomach and intestines were empty and she weighed only 7 stone.
Okay.
Many believe that Neilsen pushed her off the ledge, but another possibility is that Neilsen panicked that police were closing in and left her there in the dark for a considerable amount of time and she slipped off the ledge by accident, but nobody's entirely sure. Either way, he's still fucking responsible.
Oh, yeah, I mean...
Whether or not he panicked and pushed her off, or she slipped off, or whatever random conclusion you can come up to, he still stuck her down there, and he left her down there. So what we do know for sure is how she died. So the post-mortem showed that Whittle had died from vagal inebriation and not strangulation. So vagal inhibition. So the vagal nerve is the nerve, is the 10th cranial nerve, and it interfaces with the parasympathetic control of the lungs, heart, and digestive tract, and it's located behind the ear. There's one on the left and there's one on the right. And the theory is that the shock of the fall caused this, so she would have died really quickly.
Small mercies.
Small mercies, absolutely. So pathologist Dr. John Brown reported that the constricting wire caused high blood pressure on the carotid artery, and this caused her brain to slow down and her heart to... this caused her brain to slow down her heart to help relieve the pressure, and when that didn't work, it just stopped. So her body tried to help her. You know that thing I was saying the other day about how your body just can shut itself down? Basically it did that, but she just died. So also at the bottom of the shaft was a number of items, which included 3-inch strips of elastoplast, which had been used as a makeshift blindfold, a pair of size 7 trainers, and a reporter's notepad. The notepad was found to be the only item to have any fingerprints on it. And after 4 months of putting other fingerprints investigations on hold, no match was found. That sucks, yeah, big time. They just didn't know who'd done this. Still.
Oh, okay. So it does turn out that it's actually his fingerprints.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It wasn't like some random. It wasn't PC Steve. He hadn't chucked it down there in horror.
Or I was starting to think that this was going to turn into something much darker than
but no.
Oh no, somebody else is involved in this. No.
What they did know was it was the same person as the sub post office robberies and murders, because they could match those fingerprints with the fingerprints they'd found on this reporter's notebook. So on December 11th, 1975, 2 policemen in Mansfield, I love the name Mansfield, it's great, noticed a man acting suspiciously. When they confronted him to question him, he identified himself as John Moxon. He then pulled a gun on them and made them drive him to the village of Biddlesworth, where the officers were able to distract him, which allowed them to get the gun off of him, and with the help of customers in a nearby fish and chip shop and a large miner, which is my favourite fact of this whole thing, a large miner just happened to be walking past. They were able to get him to handcuffs and take him to the police station. So when he was searched, he was found to have 2 watches on 1 strap, 2 torches, 2 sets of batteries, 2 knives, 2 razor blades, and 2 pairs of gloves.
Does he like things in pairs?
I don't know. I don't think he's particularly I need to have this and this and this and this.
Maybe he's like overthought this a little bit in the sense that I need to have a backup of a backup.
Yeah, I think he's just mad. I think he's just
Well,
a bit pedantic.
He's not a very nice person.
He's not. He's a bit of a dick. So his fingerprints were taken and he was put in a cell. And they do what police do. They checked the fingerprints against those found in the shaft at Bath Pool and found them to be a match.
Oh dear.
Yes. So John Moxton, Donald Neilsen was basically caught because he was being a bit shifty and he just didn't have the capacity to act like a normal person and was caught on happenstance, like coincidentally. Also, kind of funny that he managed to get 2 police officers in a car with a gun on them.
Yeah, that bit there I think is perhaps, if we were to take anything from this, and I'm not saying that this is a good thing, but that is impressive, and it is perhaps the only impressive thing he's managed to do.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is then he fucked up 10 seconds later.
After being harassed by a giant miner.
It's like, look over there! What? Ha-ha! And
yeah.
You're under arrest.
Damn it! I like the fact that in his kit was just 2 razor blades. What are you going to do with those? Have a little shave. Twice. 2 hands. 2-handed shave. I don't know.
Well, we don't even know what type of razor blades, do we?
This is true. They could have been like free, or they could have just been like a razor. Gillette.
The best a man can get.
They might have a...
Is that Gillette or is that Wilkinson sauce?
Oh, I don't know. I think it is Gillette.
Is it? Oh.
It could have been Wilkinson sauce. I feel like Wilkinson sauce don't have a saying. They probably do. I just don't know what it is.
It's Wilkinson sauce of Venus.
Venus, she's got it. Baby, she's got it. And we're going to get sued.
I'm going to get sued.
We don't have any money. Joke's on you. I also can't read. No, I can read. That's my one qualifying factor about myself. So, where was I? So Moxton, was uncooperative and would take up to 15 minutes to answer a question. Could you imagine? I'd have like punched him in the face. So John, what were you doing in the area? And then it's like that.
Just repeats the question.
Yeah.
What was I doing in the area?
What was I doing
What
in the
was
area?
I doing there?
And
What
then
day
it's
was
like
this again?
it's like the crusty, the SpongeBob thing of 15 minutes later, and then it's like, oh yeah, I was just going for a stroll.
I just have to do like a confession here.
Yeah.
I've never actually watched SpongeBob.
Oh my god, you're so uncultured. Like you keep not seeing things. Like I made you watch Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, didn't I?
No, I chose to watch that.
Oh, good, because that is an absolute amazing film.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think you've seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show either.
No.
And we need to watch that because it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm discovering so many things about you that I never knew.
You've only known me for 32 years.
It's 32 years. Stop telling people how old I am. I'm 85.
All right, I'll just aim shade. I'm actually 35, so...
Oh, it's not that bad. I like how I gave you a... Oh, you're not that old.
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. You're not that
but you're
old.
32. I'm so old.
So old.
God.
Eventually, he did give his real name and address, stating that he didn't want his wife and daughter involved. So, obviously, we now know this man was Donald Neilsen. His home was searched and evidence was found linking him to other crimes as well as the Lesley Whittle's murder. Because you remember, he is not just a kidnapper anymore, he's now a murderer. Well, he'd already been a murderer, but he is now holding someone against their will, and he killed this girl regardless of whether or not he actively pushed her off of that ledge.
Okay, but to play... Right, I am actually going to say something that probably is quite unpopular. Now, I agree with you that if it weren't for him, she wouldn't have died.
Yeah.
However, could we strongly say that he actually murdered her? I don't think so. He intended to kidnap her.
Mm-hmm.
He obviously intended to keep her against her will, and I guess you could argue that he assaulted her,
Mm-hmm.
but we can't prove that he pushed her, and the only thing is that we can say is that, he probably had the forethought that this could happen
Mm-hmm.
if he left her down there with a wire around her neck.
Yes, this is true.
But he's definitely a murderer because he murdered all those other people. So,
yes. Yeah. So Neilsen maintained that he didn't push Lesley, but that she had slipped. He also stated that he cared and fed for her, which the post-mortem contradicted. She was 7 stone when they found her. She's emaciated. She's got nothing in her system. You didn't feed her, mate. You're just a liar. And on June 14th in 1976, his trial began at Oxford Crown Court, where he was charged with the following: abduction of Lesley Whittle, which he got 21 years for; making a demand for £50,000 and threatening to kill Lesley, which he got 10 years for; the murder of Lesley Whittle, which he got life for; burglary and theft of firearms in Dewsbury, which he got 10 years for; burglary and theft of firearms at Chelland, I cannot pronounce, Chelland Holm? Even we can't pronounce names from around here, which he got 10 years for; the murder of Donald Skipper, which he got life for; the murder of Dedick Ann Still, life; the murder of Sidney Grayland, life; the attempted murder of Margaret Grayland, he was found not guilty for that; the grievous bodily harm of Margaret Grayland, life; attempted murder of P.C. Stewart Mackenzie, oh my god, there was a P.C. Stewart, he was found not guilty; the possession of 2 shotguns with intent to endanger, life, 10 years. In total, he was given 5 life sentences, and he is one of a handful of people in the United Kingdom who is serving a whole life tariff. Now, in 2008, he filed an appeal, but it was rejected. And on the 29th of June 2008, it was confirmed he'd developed a motor neuron disease. In December of 2011, he was taken to hospital where he died of breathing difficulties. And I just wanted to put on a side note that Gerald Smith did die of his wounds, but he died a year and a day after the shooting, so they couldn't try, even though I know because the crime had been like a year and a day after he'd been to court, or like he'd been shot, they couldn't try him, but it was still left on his file.
I feel that can't be that okay.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I was like, what? I don't think that's a thing that happens anymore. Like, someone comes forward and goes, he died from
If
the
he died
injuries.
from his injuries.
Because there's nothing in there. Like, it's not like for the grievous bodily harm or the shooting of Gerald Smith or anything. Like, what was it? Yeah, Gerald Smith. There's nothing in there. So they, like, had hoped they just didn't arrest him for that. Like, even though he shot him. But they just thought, nah, it's a weird one. So the outcome of this kind of is a bit crazy. So Chief Superintendent Booth, who led the investigation, was demoted from CID to Uniform Beat due to his failings in the investigation. Oh. Yeah. So, like, he took the proper rap for this. And then, so one of the articles I read was this really interesting BBC article. And there was the quote that I wanted to read that really, I think, really sums up the case and how about Lesley. It was here on a platform that she was to spend the last few days of her life, alone, cold and naked, tethered to the side of a shaft by a wire noose. And that is the crimes of our Donald Neilsen, the Black Panther, and the horrifying murder of Lesley Whittle. It kind of took a turn, didn't it? You were like, okay, this is just like a random crime spree, but
I mean, I knew about Lesley, because I think more people know about that than they probably do about the
rest of it. Yeah, I didn't know about the rest of it, but I think I also didn't really know the details of it, and it's very like blumbersome. Like he's making lots of mistakes, and the way he decided to do his ransom is really fucking stupid, and then police are stupid, and it's this, that, and the other, and it's like, honestly, there's so many things here that could have just led to her not being killed, but there was such a small time frame there that maybe it didn't matter, but you're still taking it was almost a year to find out who took her and killed her.
But then I suppose if you sort of look at other cases, there's people that still have not had their cases solved many years, that have been murdered many years old.
Many years,
Jack the Ripper is a perfect example. Nobody actually knows who he is.
But I think also with that one, even though there's all this evidence and potential evidence and stuff, like they just didn't have the scientific knowledge or know-how
or the forethought for it. And I think it is something that that particular case is gonna, is never gonna be solved.
No,
we're never really gonna know who Jack the Ripper was.
Jack the Ripper.
So
now hear me out.
Yeah, that was good, thank you.
Yeah, sorry that I had a joke about PC Stewart that we didn't even know was in this case. And
well,
then
you technically did.
I did, but I didn't remember.
So, but it turns out PC Stewart was okay.
PC Stewart's okay, guys. He didn't nearly get murdered. I think he just had a gun brandished at him.
Yeah.
I mean, who hasn't in this day and age? Most people.
I haven't.
I haven't either.
Yeah, great thing about living in the UK.
No one's going to... Well, I can't say no one's going to brandish a gun at you.
No.
Because people can still get guns in this country.
Yeah, I know. And, I've seen guns and I've held guns and I've shot... I've shot a rifle. I haven't shot an actual gun. Yeah. There's no point in shooting a gun because, that's not going to do anything for why we had the gun in the first place.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, and you little... Colt revolver, whatever they're called, don't know anything about guns, by the way.
No.
Ain't gonna help you
No.
with your hunting. Gonna be a bit shit, really. That's why they create rifles.
Yeah.
Specifically. Yeah. So let me know what you guys thought of that, because obviously I feel like maybe I went a little bit too fast.
Yeah, I think though you got to remember it's like literally your first one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, by all means, guys, please let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, constructive criticism always welcome.
Yeah, we love constructive criticism. We like praise.
Praise me, but not too much because I get freaked out.
Yeah.
I would definitely say I'm aware that I speak quite fast, so I do apologise for that if that's the case. And I'm like blah, 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 blah. It's something I will work on
bit by bit.
Bit by bit.
Yeah. So I was too lazy to actually say them last week.
What?
Well, last time.
What was that?
Last week.
Oh yeah.
So our socials, I will put them in the show notes because I appreciate that I might just sort of fumble over these, but we do have an email which is tcrumpetshorror@gmail.com. You can also check us out on Instagram, which has absolutely nothing on there at the moment at the time of this recording.
We will endeavour to get that sorted out.
And that is tcrumpetshorror. And we also have Twitter. Now, Twitter is probably one of my least favourite forms of social media, but I'm told that it's a good thing to have.
It's a must-have.
Yeah. So that is also on our name, and I've just got to find it.
Oh, I should probably...
tcrumpetshorror as well, at tcrumpetshorror. Whoa. This took a turn.
Tea, crumpets and whores.
Yeah,
that's a different podcast.
Yeah. So at tcrumpets HOR1.
Yeah, we're tcrumpets whore 1.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention where I got mine. So my sources today, apologies, I will put them in the show notes. Wikipedia, obviously, our good friend. I was on Murderpedia, which is a really good resource and really helped me get like the timeline and the list of what he was done for. The BBC, BBC like moved a lot of their articles online, which is really good.
Yeah.
And I also found this website called murderuk.com.
Oh, I think I've heard of that one.
Yeah, so that was quite a really good resource for just generally like timelines and things like that, and I got more details, I think, than just on Wikipedia. So what have you been, what's made you happy today other than finishing work 5 minutes early?
I don't think anything particularly has made me happy or made me laugh. Obviously there's I go on TikTok probably more than I go on the other social medias.
Oh, okay.
I am wondering about making a TikTok for our show, though I'm not sure really how that would work.
Who knows?
Pure mayhem. So yesterday evening I was listening to some of the clips for Not the Radio podcast.
Oh yeah.
Which is that guy Dylan and his mate, whose name has failed me right at this second, which is really rude of me because Graham, that's it, Mr. Graham Smith and Dylan Evans. So yeah, I enjoy listening to some of the stuff they come up with.
They did, yeah. The ones I overheard were quite funny, and I do
Yeah.
think Dylan is a very funny person.
Dylan, yeah, he is a very funny person. You know, when he gets onto one of his conspiracies, I think it's goes down. You know, you can see the look on Graham's face.
Do you get the
and
little
he's like,
X-Files music coming up in your head?
Is this happening again?
Dun, 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 dun.
That's it really. I think it's just mainly been watching other people do things rather than doing it myself.
Oh, yeah. And sometimes you can't do everything, even though maybe you want to. What's been keeping me happy today is a couple of things. So finding Milo and Noah on Instagram, because I used to follow them on TikTok, which is this guy and his really adorable golden doodle.
Mm-hmm.
And they just make me really happy. It's just a dad and his dog. And they are just really happy, the pair of them. Milo is adorable. Wait, who's Milo? Which one's Milo? Oh yeah, Noah's the man. Milo is the dog. He's very, 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 very cute. Noah's not too bad looking either. To get that in there. I got a delivery of Colourpop stuff today.
Yeah.
Which you can't look at because
No.
it's your Christmas present. You're not Jesus, don't panic. You're not Jesus, don't panic. Whew, safe. And also when I was walking to the doctor to get the flu jab, when my arm actually aches a bit now, I was listening to this rapper called Ghost Main, which is a bit like gothy metal rap, which was really interesting. I was like, oh, I really like this. So that was really nice to like something to hear. So yeah, that's what I've kind of been listening to today and really enjoying and so forth. Yeah, it's great for work, getting over work.
Yes.
Which was really bizarre today, like a really broken up day again, which just really throws me. I don't think tomorrow's too bad.
I've got a meeting tomorrow and I haven't planned for it.
Ah, heck. I never plan for any of my meetings. I just wobble and people believe me.
Yeah, you're supposed to do like a meeting agenda and I haven't done one.
Yeah.
So busy doing other stuff. But it's fine. Yeah, so we're going to go because obviously you've listened to enough of us and you probably have already stopped listening.
Yeah, this is the skipping bit. The people at the beginning normally skip. They're like, oh, they've only talked for 6 minutes. Now they're telling the story. Great.
Yeah. So yeah, we will catch you soon for a tiny episode.
Teeny tiny episode. A tiny crumpet.
Where I try my best to challenge Kaz.
On my geography skills of the town that we live in.
Yeah.
Of which
town /
city / dwelling /
dwelling.
abode / haunting.
Somewhere on the coast of the UK.
Which we will very much give away, probably.
We probably already
the
have,
next
haven't we?
I think I did, yeah. Sorry, guys. Spoiler alert. But yeah, so thank you.
It.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah. We'll see you next time. Laters. Love you.
Love you. Bye. Be good to each other.